stay onside. He's done that. McMahon looked across at the linesman. David Hurst against Vonk. And Hurst! It's a great goal. All his own work. Well, is this the situation for Sheffield Wednesday to end their afternoon's work on a highly satisfactory note? The short corner between Wilson and Francis. And they've certainly drawn Manchester City out. Nielsen, it's a great ball! A fantastic second goal from Worthington! And that sets the seal on it.
Leeds had dropped 7 points from their previous 3 games, and with only 1 goal in the process had hardly been looking like championship contenders. But all of a sudden they clicked into gear. Rod Wallace. Lee Chapman, in the territory where he's at his most dangerous, was lucky enough to get a second chance, his 5th goal in as many games. Style and panache, which had been missing from Leeds' play in recent games, returned courtesy of Eric Cantona. Touch play of the very highest calibre. Palace, who'd won 3 of their previous 4 games, took the lead at Highbury, but it was hardly an indication of what was to follow. Chris Coleman sliding in for his 3rd goal in successive games. Ian Wright didn't score against his old team, but he certainly looked the part of a £2.5 million player, laying on the equaliser there for Paul Merson. Merson boosted his hopes of a place in England's European Championship squad. He scored in Arsenal's last 6 home games, and I doubt whether there's been a better one than this. Anders Limpar over to the far side. Watch how quickly Merson reacts here. Spotting Martin just off his line, but not by much. That was a really super goal. Now, when Wright left Bright, Steve Coppell predicted he'd make a great partner for Kevin Campbell. Indeed, the new 1-2 looks pretty nifty, just as good as the old 1-2. Terrific goal, that. 13 without defeat in the league for Arsenal. They've had their troubles, but what a finish to the season. They're actually looking more like championship material than anyone else. A hat-trick for Merson, the First Division's top scorers with 70. It was more a case of Liverpool getting to grips with the Villa Park pitch than getting the points. Denied them by Tony Daly's solo effort. But if they win there on Monday in the FA Cup semi-final replay against Portsmouth, it'll be sufficient consolation. The end of the season can't come quick enough for Everton, who've now lost 4 in a row, 3 without scoring. Ian Bryson's looping header put Sheffield United in front after half an hour. United have won 5 of their last 7 games to move into the top half of the table. All you've got to do to get them going is mention relegation. Alan Cork, his first for them since leaving Wimbledon. Only the clubs in the bottom 3 have won fewer games than Rangers, and yet they remain one of the toughest sides to beat in the First Division. Andy Sinton after a neat exchange with Bardsley. As for Spurs, what was it 3 weeks ago when we were talking about the threat of relegation? Penalty? Probably was, but play on. You can imagine the complaints if Paul Walsh hadn't intervened and the ball hadn't run kindly for Andy Gray to get his first for Spurs. Gordon Durie was much too quick-witted and quick-footed. Some would say a Clive Wilson own goal. The match verdict, Durie, no question about it. Jointly, Oldham and Luton had the worst defensive records in the First Division. Each had conceded 60 before Graham Sharp scored a goal Nat Lofthouse would have been proud of. Luton, who've gone over 12 months without an away win, equalised through Mick Harford. His determination paid off after Imre Varadi had hit the bar. Oldham played some super football. Adams' cross, inch perfect for Sharp again. Now, Luton are never as bad as scorelines tend to suggest. Their hard luck stories are endless. Now, Ritchie should have scored, but when the ball went loose, it fell kindly for Sharp. Hat-trick. No doubt the run of the ball favoured Oldham. Sharp odds on for another, but Chamberlain's save only proved to be a delaying tactic, with Mike Milligan following up ahead of the rest. Only Leeds and Arsenal have scored more goals in the First Division than Oldham this season, so it's not all about lucky breaks, far from it. But they got another when Chamberlain saved from Bernard, who promptly crossed for Sharp to get his 4th of the afternoon. Having taken 6 points out of the previous 45 available, Notts County were hovering perilously close to almost certain relegation until they were presented with a last-minute lifeline by a Kenny Sanson own goal. Take 1, West Ham's Matthew Rush, 14 minutes. Take two, Matthew Rush, 36 minutes. Both from Ian Bishop corners. Rush, 20 years of age, his second full appearance. Norwich on the way to their 5th successive defeat, West Ham to their first win in 8 games. Mike Small brought down clumsily by Walton. Upton Park's answer to Stuart Pearce. Julian Dix from the spot. Relegation probables 3-up against the relegation possibles. Been a miserable end to Norwich's season, but encouragement on the day for West Ham. Ian Bishop making it 4-0.
Alistair. Out to Irwin. Alistair knocking it into McClare. The little touch for Giggs. He's away again. Little ball in play there for McClare again.
A goal for Manchester United. Brian McClare